30. Can somebody calculate for me? 390. They stopped giving us. You remember I told you they gave us 13,000. They're supposed to give us 13 point something buses. They kept the 10,000.
Well, I mean, there's still so much discrepancy in this whole conversation about misappropriation of funds. We talked about this last week, the $1.2 million people are saying was excessive. It's good that he has given this breakdown. But, the main story which I took about the Air Force, being deployed, the C-130 being deployed to Egypt. They were deployed, I believe, on Friday, and they had been there for 3 days. We're talking about mismanagement of funds. I believe the employees there, the military guys in the plane, had been sending messages. I'll read one of the messages that they sent, which is what they require the federal government to do at this point. One of them is for the president to intervene at the highest level to break the intraceable diplomatic immigration deadlock at the border, solve the contractual logjam with drivers, that's the bus drivers, inform the headquarters of NAF of decision of aircrew and aircraft the national interest need to stay back. Well, another request is note and effect the necessary logistical changes brought about by extending mission duration. Dr. Abati, I believe you talked earlier about the NAF aircraft jet that has been deployed there. I mean, I don't understand who dropped the ball here in terms of communication. Our Nigerians are there, stranded at the border. They have been there for days. And now we have our military guys there, stranded as well.
Well, I mean, whatever explanation that they are giving, whether from the Nigerian Air Force or from the situation room in charge of the evacuation of Nigerians from Sudan, or the embassy, the Nigerian embassy of in Sudan, what Nigerians want, what that gentleman talking about his son, women, pregnant women, what he wants, what we all want, is for the Nigerians who are stranded in Sudan to be brought home. Other countries, as I said earlier on, have been evacuating their people. Take the Americans, who have evacuated about 1,000 of their people. Do you know that they sent manned drones with reconnaissance, with area surveillance? The America deployed its might to guide the buses taking the Americans on the ground to Port Sudan. And from Port Sudan, a naval ship was waiting. And you can be sure that that naval ship is not just there, it's a military warship to move the Americans first to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. The British, they've evacuated about 888 of their people. India has evacuated 3,000 people. And we are here. We're still arguing over who is in charge of buses, who is in charge of logistics. The NAF aircraft that has been sent there is stranded in Aswan, Egypt. Now, APIS is waiting on the Nigerian government to sort out the diplomatic issues. APIS already has landing permits. Yes, I understand. They have landing permits. Yeah, so the latitude is not correct. APIS has landing permits. And all these logistics on the Nigerian government side remain the problem. Now, if we're not sure of what we're doing, we talk about citizen diplomacy in this country. Citizen diplomacy means coming to the rescue of your people. The Nigerian Air Force crew that is there, just about 14 of them, in the C-130. Can't we be like the Americans too? Don't we have drones? Can't we go there and provide protection for our people? And if we cannot handle it, can we seek help? We can ask the Americans to help us. We can ask the British to help us. I mean, we can ask, we don't have to go through Egypt, since it's an issue. The Egyptians are asking for visa. We can go through Port Sudan. And we're told that about 1,595 Nigerians are already in Port Sudan. Okay, nobody is going to ask for visa to exit Sudan. So, do we have a warship that we can send to Port Sudan and move our people to a safe place? Well, I don't know, maybe the Nigerian Navy doesn't want Well, only God knows what they are. So this is the issue. And the attitude of the Sudanese authorities, and also particularly of Egypt, raises a question, as I said earlier on, about African unity. Egypt is a member of the African Union. Other members of that union are in distress, and Egypt is asking for visa. They are not going through Egypt to go and have to go and stay there. Nigeria is ready to enlist the people immediately and bring them back home. This is an issue that the African Union should look into. All these regional economic bodies should look into the matter. Not African countries. They remember that they are part of Africa only when there's something to gain. When it is a crisis situation, they do eye service. The only exception to this rule in North Africa was the late Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who had a strong vision of African Union and who provided leadership beyond Libya. But that's another story.
Yes, I mean, I've been asking who dropped the ball here. Why is the communication so wrong? I take one tweet from Chief of Staff who wrote, NEMA has no business in evacuation. There are aircrafts in Air Force bases all over the country that can carry a minimum of 100 passengers per aircraft. The evacuation synergy should be between the NAF and our embassies in Sudan and Egypt. Government keep making some same silly mistakes. I mean, I don't know where that communication came from in terms of the land border being closed or the NAF jet just being there sitting in Egypt for days. Ayo, quickly, before I come to the fight.
I mean, so many things that Doctor has unpacked in this story, and it's just very sad. You mentioned something, you used the word management when you spoke the first time in terms of all management and the way that things have been handled, and I think this is what it boils down to, where we are now arguing over the lives of people, lives are at stake, as to who is responsible. When there's the glory days, we see how some agencies come out and talk about what we're doing, and the moment that it's there, we hit challenges, people get quiet and they start pointing fingers. Oh, NEMA, it's meant to be you, it's meant to be you. The principal problem is our response to crisis situation. And again, unfortunately, we failed. Look at Ukraine, we had to be bailed out by air peace again. In this situation, we had to be bailed out by air peace again. When we talk about the Egyptian situation, what comes to mind is that imagine in the North American region, a country denies America of entry for its people. It's unheard of. Why? Because America is a superpower, which Nigeria is supposed to be in Africa. We're supposed to be a superpower. We're supposed to be the big brother of Africa. But unfortunately, when issues like this come up, we see that people call our bluff. Countries can't call our bluff. So what is it that we're not doing enough? So in terms of addressing that border issue, because guess what? Egypt, no matter how much you criticize, has a right to make their own decisions or was deciding on how it favors them as a country or what benefit Nigeria is to them. If when nations are critical in terms of diplomatic relations, it's difficult to deny them access, no matter what we say. At the end of the day, yes, the AU should handle this. It is very sad that amongst ourselves in Africa, we don't support one another. But for our Nigerian people, they are the ones that own the people. And I hope this puts pain to others who are saying, oh, count it a privilege that your people, your government is even going to evacuate you. What kind of mentality do we have in terms of government responsibility?
That is their duty. Rufai.
I mean, I don't mind those people with that kind of mentality, with data that is low that makes them tweet all sorts of rubbish they tweet with the kind of mentality they have. We dropped the ball.
Yes.
Up to the presidency level, we dropped the ball. When a matter of emergency arises, you set up an interministerial consultative team for this evacuation, which will have involved the Military Intelligence Agency, NEMA, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and everybody on board, and probably domiciled in the office of the president. That give the president updates as regards who is going to call. And they ought to have been meeting. This was since the 8th of April. They didn't meet. Now they left it as usual. They just thought the evacuation was going to be easy, but now it's proven that it's not easy. That's why when the Nigerian Air Force jet got there, they couldn't even evacuate people because those are really big planes. Actually, C-130 is a transport military plane. But they couldn't get people out because people are still stuck in the border. And it's not only Egypt, even Ethiopia to shut their border against Nigerian students. But like I said before, was there an intelligence official on ground that will be able to say in Sudan, okay, the best route is Port of Sudan, not Egypt? Because that's what the NAF officials, because these are logistical assistants, they're not saying you have to change routes to be able to do it quickly. So we drop the ball and the blame goes up to the president. So what can we do? If we can still set up that panel, allow people liaise with the minister on ground and with the ambassador on ground, let us be able to see what we can do to be able to save the country and start to evacuate it. And for the man that is asking journalists how they spend 1.2 million, is he joking? That's not the way. It is after we finish, you will now bring a receipt by receipt breakdown of what you have done. My prayer this morning, God in heaven, let our people come back safe. And afterwards, we can now fight ourselves indoors. But this is a shame and a failure of our system again.
Absolutely. We shall take our final story, if you can pull that story up, please.